The flickering LED light cast eerie shadows as the prison guard stepped into the cell. "This is it, Nathan. Time's up." His voice sounded almost robotic. Nathan Caldwell slowly raised his head. His wrists were locked in heavy steel cuffs, and deep lines etched his face, scars of the 5 years spent inside death row. But in his eyes, there was no fear, only quiet determination. "I have one last request," he said softly. "I want to see my dog, Titan." The guard hesitated. The rules were strict. Inmates usually asked for a special meal or to see their families. A dog? That was a first. "I'll have to ask," he mumbled, stepping out and leaving Nathan alone with his thoughts. Nathan closed his eyes, picturing Titan, his loyal Belgian Malinois, the only companion who had stood by him after his arrest. He remembered the night he had rescued the pup from an abandoned shelter, how that small creature had pulled him out of his darkest moments. "Just once," he whispered. "I only want to see him one last time." 20 miles away, in a quiet lakeside town in Vermont, the phone rang inside a modest veterinary clinic. Dr. Emily Harrington, a young vet with tired eyes and long chestnut hair, picked up the receiver. "Dr. Harrington speaking. Director Holloway here, from Northridge Correctional Facility," the voice on the line said. "It's about Nathan Caldwell. He's made a final request, and it concerns the dog you're caring for." Emily froze. Her heart began pounding. "Titan, he wants to see Titan?" "Yes. He wishes to see him before." Holloway cleared his throat. "Before everything is over." Emily pressed her lips together. She was certain Nathan was innocent. Over the years, she had received dozens of heartfelt letters from him, read about his unshaken belief that the truth would eventually come out. She believed him. But now, time was slipping away. "I'll bring him. Give me 1 hour." However, when she called for the dog, there was no response. The front door was still locked, but the side window of the clinic was ajar. A torn piece of leash lay on the floor. Panic seized Emily. Titan was missing. With trembling hands, she dialed a number she hadn't called in years. "I need your help. It's about Nathan. And Titan." A pause. Then a deep voice answered. "I'm on my way." The minutes flew by like seconds as Emily frantically searched the clinic. She looked under tables, behind cabinets, even in storage closets, but Titan was gone. She ran out onto the porch, peering into the cool, dark night. A distant bark echoed from somewhere far off. "Titan," she called out, her voice barely a whisper. But the night swallowed her words. Just as she was about to get into her car, a black Dodge Challenger pulled up in front of the clinic. A tall man with rugged features and faint scars stepped out. His name was Damian Blackwell, a man with a past full of stories he never shared. "What happened?" he asked sharply, his eyes scanning the area like a predator sizing up its territory. "Someone took him, Damian," Emily whispered, her voice trembling. The side window was open. The leash was torn. "He's been kidnapped. And Nathan, he doesn't have much time left." Damian cursed under his breath, pulling out his phone. "Alex, we've got a situation. The dog's been taken. Not just any dog, Nathan's dog. Start digging. I want names." As Damian spoke, Emily's mind flashed back to something she had seen the night before, a detail she had dismissed at the time. "There was a black limousine," she muttered. "It drove past my place 2 or 3 times. I thought it was nothing, but now." Damian nodded. "Then we have a lead. Let's move." Meanwhile, in an industrial zone on the outskirts of Burlington, Vermont, Titan was chained inside a dimly lit warehouse. The dog growled softly, his ears twitching at every sound. A single flickering bulb swayed overhead. A man in a gray suit leaned against a crate, watching Titan with a smug smile. Such a fine animal, he said, taking a drag from his cigarette. Shame he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Another man stepped from the shadows. He was thinner, with icy eyes and a hood covering most of his face. We were told to keep him alive. For now. No harm unless ordered otherwise. The man in the suit shrugged. That depends on what Caldwell does next. Titan barked furiously and tugged at the chain. Somehow, he seemed to sense Nathan needed him, and he would fight with everything he had to get back. At the same time, back in the prison, Nathan sat on his narrow bed, staring at the thin beam of light coming through the barred window. In just a few hours, it would all be over. The cell door creaked open. The warden entered with a grave expression, followed by one of the supervisors. "We have a problem," the warden said flatly. "The dog is missing. Someone took him." Nathan's breath caught in his throat. "What? Who?" "We don't know yet. But we're working on it." Nathan clenched his fists. His final wish, the one thing that had kept him going for 5 years, had been stolen. But who would do such a thing? And why? Damien's Challenger roared through the empty streets as he made another call. "We've got a possible lead, an abandoned warehouse near the Burlington docks. Get us some backup." Emily shot him a glance, her nerves fraying. "There's not much time. If we don't find Titan, Nathan will never see him again." The port lay cloaked in the shadows of early dawn. Mist drifted between the silent warehouses, and the sound of seagulls echoed faintly over the lapping water. Damien parked the car in a narrow alleyway and reached under his seat, pulling out a concealed weapon. "Stay in the car," he instructed firmly. Emily narrowed her eyes. "Forget it. He's my dog too." For a moment, Damien stared at her. Then he sighed and nodded. "Fine. But stay close. And if things go south, run." They crept toward the warehouse, moving like shadows along the rusted walls. Damien pressed himself against a dirty window, peering inside. He counted 2 men, one in a suit, the other wearing a hood, standing near Titan, who remained chained but alert. "The guy has no idea who he's dealing with," Damien whispered. Emily clenched her fists. "Then let's show him." Meanwhile, Nathan paced in his cell, completely unaware of what was happening outside. He stared at the floor, his thoughts racing. Someone didn't want him to see Titan, but who? And for what reason? The supervisor appeared at the door once again. "We're trying to gather information, but I can't promise anything," he said apologetically. Nathan locked eyes with him, desperation etched across his face. "Please. I don't have much time left." The supervisor sighed. "We're doing everything we can." But Nathan knew it wouldn't be enough. Outside the warehouse, Damien and Emily moved into position. Hidden behind a stack of crates, Damien silently counted. 2 guards inside. Possibly more in the shadows. Emily picked up a rusty pipe lying nearby. "We can't waste time." Damien smirked. "I like your spirit." With a swift motion, Damien tossed a small rock against the metal wall. The loud clang echoed through the building. "What was that?" one of the guards asked. "No idea." "Check it out." The hooded man cautiously moved toward the door, gun drawn. The moment he stepped outside, Damien sprang from behind, disarming him and slamming him into the wall. The man collapsed unconscious. "Not bad," Emily whispered, impressed. Inside, Titan barked furiously, sensing his rescuers nearby. The man in the suit reacted immediately, drawing his weapon and pointing it directly at the dog. "One more step, and the dog dies," he threatened. Everyone froze for a tense moment. But Damien simply smirked. "You really don't know who you're dealing with." He gave a small signal. In an instant, Titan lunged forward, snapping the weakened chain. With a powerful leap, the dog knocked the man in the suit to the ground. The weapon clattered across the floor. "Titan, back!" Emily shouted. But the dog stood growling over the man, teeth bared. Damien stepped forward, kicking the gun farther away. "If I were you, I wouldn't move." The man's eyes widened in shock. "You have no idea what you're getting into," he whispered. Damien aimed his weapon squarely at him. "Then start talking." Damien's eyes narrowed. "Start talking. Now." The man swallowed hard, his breathing uneven. "You think you've won," he whispered. "But you have no idea what you're truly involved in." Nathan paced his small prison cell, unaware of how close, and how far, his freedom was. The man in the suit took a shaky breath. "It's not just about Nathan Hale. This goes far beyond one innocent man. It's about something much bigger." Damien tightened his grip on the weapon. "Make me understand." The man licked his dry lips. "I was only the middleman. There are people out there, powerful people, who couldn't afford for Hale to live. Millions were at stake, investments, illegal deals, and political favors. His death was supposed to silence the last witness." Emily stared, stunned. "So the charges, the trial, it was all staged?" The man nodded. "Nathan was framed. The evidence against him was manufactured." Damien stepped closer, his voice deadly calm. "Who's behind it?" The man hesitated, biting his lip, his eyes darting nervously toward Titan, who continued to growl softly. "Talk," Damien ordered. Titan's low growl turned into a deep, menacing snarl. The man winced. "Because of the dog," he blurted. "He wasn't supposed to survive either." Emily frowned, confused. "What does Titan have to do with any of this?" The man's voice shook. "He carries something they couldn't risk being found." Damien's eyes widened. "Where?" The man glanced nervously at the dog's thick collar. "Under the leather. Hidden." Carefully, Damien knelt by Titan and gently examined the collar. His fingers brushed against a small, almost invisible slit beneath the buckle. Inside, carefully sewn, was a tiny USB drive. Damien held it up, his expression turning cold. "What's on this?" "The truth," the man whispered. "Bank accounts. Secret deals. Names. It's enough to bring down half of them." Emily's voice trembled. "Why keep it on the dog?" They knew Hale wouldn't suspect his own dog was being used as a courier. But once they realized the authorities might grant his last request to see Titan. The man paused, his voice breaking. "They sent us to retrieve the evidence before it reached him." Damien exhaled slowly. "You were going to kill the dog." The man lowered his eyes. "That was the order." The room fell silent, the weight of the revelation hanging heavy. Emily glanced at Damien. "We need to see what's on that drive." Damien nodded, but kept his weapon trained on the man. "First, you're coming with us. Nathan deserves to hear this himself." Suddenly, tires screeched outside. Doors slammed. Voices shouted. Reinforcements had arrived. "Move!" Damien barked, grabbing the man by the arm. Emily called Titan to her side. They rushed toward the back exit, the barking of Titan echoing through the warehouse. Just as they slipped into the alley, gunfire erupted behind them. "Go!" Damien ordered. They sprinted into the dark, the sounds of chaos following close behind. Inside a heavily armored prison van, Nathan Hale sat with his wrists still shackled. Across from him, Warden Collins appeared tense, his voice low. "I don't fully understand it myself," Collins admitted. "But apparently, a federal agent has recovered your dog and found something. I've received orders from high above to fully cooperate." Nathan's heart pounded. Is Titan okay? Is he safe? We're en route to meet them now. Nathan leaned back, closing his eyes for a moment, his mind spinning. Was this hope? Or a carefully laid trap? He couldn't be sure. But one thing was certain, if Titan was alive, then there was still a chance. Meanwhile, Damien secured the prisoner's hands with practiced efficiency and shoved him into the back seat of the Charger. Emily jumped into the front as Titan, panting heavily, climbed onto the rear bench. As Damien started the car, the first bullets shattered the windows. "Down," he shouted, slamming the gas pedal. The Charger shot forward, tires screaming as they tore through the narrow streets of the industrial port. In the rearview mirror, two black SUVs raced after them without hesitation. "This won't be easy," Damien growled. Emily glanced back at Titan, whose amber eyes were locked forward, his entire body tense. "We have to lose them or we're done." "Hold on," Damien said, his jaw tightening. He swung the Charger onto a main road, speeding through a red light as traffic blared their horns and swerved to avoid collision. A wall of cars blocked most of the avenue ahead. "Brace yourselves," Damien yelled, twisting the wheel sharply. The car skidded sideways into a narrow alley, barely wide enough for the side mirrors to clear the brick walls. Behind them, the two SUVs collided while trying to follow, metal crunching and glass shattering. "That'll buy us a little time," Damien muttered. Emily exhaled, stealing a glance at Titan, who sat alert but calm, tail still as a board. "He's ready for anything." From the back seat, their prisoner whimpered. "Please, let me go." Damien looked at him through the rearview mirror, his voice cold. "Not a chance. You're going to talk to Nathan." The prisoner turned pale. "This is insane. You don't know who you're messing with." Emily leaned back toward him. "Then enlighten us." But the man clamped his mouth shut. "Coward," Damien growled. "Nathan will get the truth out of you." He pressed harder on the accelerator. Minutes later, the prison van abruptly came to a stop, not at the prison. Nathan glanced outside the small barred window and realized they had reached an abandoned warehouse district. "Where are we?" Nathan asked nervously. Collins didn't meet his eyes. "We had to improvise." The situation changed. Nathan's stomach twisted. Was this a setup? Suddenly, the rear doors swung open. Guards pulled him out, and then he heard it, a familiar bark that made his heart leap. Titan. The German shepherd broke into a sprint toward him, leaping into Nathan's arms. Nathan dropped to his knees as Titan licked his face furiously, tail whipping the air. 5 years, Nathan whispered, voice cracking. 5 years without you, buddy. From the corner of his eye, Nathan noticed Collins quietly stepping aside to confer with Damien and Emily, who had just arrived. Collins handed over a stack of documents. Damien signed them without hesitation. Collins gave Nathan one last glance. "You're under their protection now. You have 48 hours before your case is reopened." As the prison van pulled away, Nathan rose to his feet, his eyes narrowing when he saw the prisoner. "Who is this?" he asked. Emily stepped forward. "One of the people who didn't want you to ever see Titan again." Nathan's jaw clenched. Then he better start explaining. They quickly secured the man to a metal chair. Nathan stood face to face with him, fists clenched, fury simmering just beneath his calm exterior. The prisoner hesitated, then let out a bitter laugh. "You think you've won? You have no idea what you've stumbled into." Nathan's gaze hardened. "Then tell me." The man shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "It's not just about you. It's about something much bigger." Damien pulled out his revolver, slowly rotating the cylinder. "I'm patient, but not forever." The prisoner swallowed. "You think this was some random act? Your dog wasn't kidnapped by mistake. Titan was supposed to be eliminated. Nathan frowned. Why? Why target my dog? The prisoner clamped his teeth together but flinched as Titan stepped forward, baring his sharp teeth, growling low and menacing. The man broke. Because your dog is carrying something. Something nobody was supposed to find. Nathan's stomach turned. Titan. He knelt in front of Titan, gently running his hands through the thick fur along the collar. His fingers felt something small and hard, hidden under the leather. Carefully, he pulled it out, a tiny USB stick, expertly concealed. His hands trembled as he held it up. What's on this? The prisoner smirked. The truth. Nathan stared at the small drive in his hand. 5 years in a death cell, 5 years believing justice might never come, and now finally something real. Emily shot Damien a worried glance. We need to see what's on it. I know a place, Damien nodded. Somewhere safe. But before leaving, Damien pointed his gun directly at the prisoner. But first, you tell us everything you know. The man exhaled. You've figured it out. I'm just a middleman. You're facing something much bigger than me. Nathan stepped closer, his voice cold. Then who? Who's behind this? The prisoner hesitated, but Damien cocked the hammer. This was your last chance. A split second of silence, then a gunshot shattered the window from outside. The prisoner's head jerked forward. He slumped in the chair, lifeless. Damn it! Damien cursed, shoving Nathan and Emily to the floor as more bullets ripped into the walls. They made sure he wouldn't talk. Emily shouted. Move! Damien yelled, grabbing the USB stick from Nathan's hand. They sprinted toward the back exit, Titan at their side, fully alert. Outside, tires screeched as a black SUV pulled up to block the street. The same guys from before. Emily shouted. Get behind cover. Damien yelled, pulling Emily and Nathan behind a dumpster. Let's end this quickly. Damien raised his weapon and returned fire while Emily and Nathan dashed toward the Charger. Titan leapt into the back seat. As soon as we're clear, we go public with everything, Emily said. Nathan nodded as he started the engine. Hold tight. The Charger roared forward into the open road. 24 hours later, the world was watching. A breaking news banner flashed across international networks. Massive corruption scandal uncovered, top officials exposed. Nathan sat in a dimly lit hotel room, watching the live broadcast on the television. Damien stood nearby, arms crossed, while Emily gently petted Titan, who rested peacefully on the bed. The news anchor's voice was firm. In a stunning turn of events, evidence provided from an anonymous source has unveiled a massive corruption network involving high-ranking politicians, corporate executives, and even international crime syndicates. The information, hidden for years, was found on a single USB stick retrieved just hours before Nathan Cross was scheduled for execution. Nathan exhaled deeply, emotion storming inside him, 5 years of pain, fear, and hopelessness. But now, justice was finally within reach. We did it, Emily whispered. Nathan turned to Titan and ran his hand along the dog's thick fur. You saved me, buddy. Titan wagged his tail softly, sensing his master's relief. But Nathan's eyes soon narrowed again. The people behind this, they're still out there. Damien grinned slightly. Then we find them. And we finish what they started. Nathan stood up, calling Titan to his side. Let's bring them down. His eyes burned with a renewed fire, not for revenge, but for justice. This fight was far from over. The city was shrouded in early morning fog as Nathan, Damien, and Emily arrived at a rundown warehouse on the outskirts of Verona. This place had been identified as one of the hidden operation hubs for the corrupt syndicate. Titan sniffed the air, alert and ready. Inside, the trio found stacks of files, encrypted laptops, and walls covered with photographs and maps, all clues pointing to a global network of influence and deceit. Emily tapped on her tablet, decrypting the files one by one. "We're getting close," she said, eyes scanning the screen. Suddenly, footsteps echoed through the cavernous space. "Hide," Damien whispered. They slipped behind crates just as masked men stormed in, speaking in hushed tones about a shipment leaving the port at midnight. Nathan's heart pounded. This was the break they needed. Titan growled low, warning of the incoming threat. Damien readied a makeshift weapon. "We either fight or get caught. What's it gonna be?" Nathan clenched his fists, determination solidifying like steel. "We fight. For everyone who's suffered." The fight for justice was no longer a silent battle, it was a war they had to win. Under the dim glow of the warehouse lights, the fight erupted. Nathan, Damien, and Emily moved swiftly, using the shadows and crates for cover. Titan barked fiercely, distracting the masked men. Emily hacked into the warehouse's security system, shutting down the cameras to buy them time. Damien disarmed one of the attackers with precise moves learned from years of training, while Nathan used his strength and grit to hold off another. Breathing heavily, Nathan thought about all the people suffering because of this syndicate's corruption. This was bigger than just them, it was about justice for the forgotten. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared through the building. More guards were on their way. "Time's running out," Emily yelled. They grabbed the decrypted files and sprinted to the back exit, where a motorbike waited. Titan leapt onto the seat behind Nathan. As they sped away, the city lights blurred past, but Nathan's mind was clear, the real fight was only beginning. The city skyline faded behind them as Nathan, Emily, Damien, and Titan raced through the empty streets. Their stolen data held secrets that could bring down the entire syndicate, but also made them targets. Back at their hideout, Emily quickly began decoding the files. Every line revealed layers of corruption, fake charities, money laundering, and ties to powerful politicians. "We need to get this to the press," Damien said, his voice grim. "But first, we have to stay hidden. They'll come for us." Nathan nodded. "We're not just fighting for ourselves anymore. This is for everyone they've hurt." Titan growled softly, sensing the tension. As dawn broke, hope glimmered in the distance, a new day, a new chance to change the city forever.